Hey everyone, welcome to Limitless Radiocast, episode 29. Stick with us today as we hang out with a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and an ex-UFC fighter. And remember to go out and check out rollamongus.com for all your fight gear needs. Fight shorts, rash guards, gis, t-shirts. rollamongus.com. At checkout, put in Limitless 20. And also go out and check out battlebomb.com. They have CBD and non-CBD infused rub for all those aches and pains that you might get during any kind of training, everyday work, everyday life. Remember, at checkout, Limitless 20 for a 20% discount, battlebomb.com. And we are proud to bring this show to you by Magic City Brewing Company located in Akron, Ohio. Go out, check them out. Great place ran by great people. Also, check out M&H Beans for all your coffee needs. Get a subscription. They'll ship all over the world. They have amazing coffee, some of the best coffee in the world. On this show, we drink it all the time. It's drank in my household. We drink it multiple times. Dad speakers, highly recommend. Go out there, check out M&H Beans. Without further ado, thanks for joining us and enjoy the show. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Today, we are hanging out with Miguel Torres. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt under Carlson Gracie Jr. He's also an ex-UFC fighter and a WEC Bantamweight Champion. He has a plethora of wins and fights, and he's going to be coming to East Coast Martial Arts and doing a seminar for us for Muay Thai kickboxing. Miguel, thanks for hanging with us, man. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you guys for having me down, man. I appreciate it.
It's good. And I know you and Chad got a little history back in the day doing some jiu-jitsu. I know, Miguel, you came in and did a seminar for the cancer awareness, which, and I didn't mention this, we were talking earlier, everybody out there, but that's coming up. We're Chad, when?
Yep. So October 9th this year is the 10th annual. So it's number 10. So yeah, Miguel was at the second one with JW Wright and James Klingerman. And it was a good time.
Yeah, it was great.
Nice.
It was a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time.
I learned more than I taught. I'll tell you that right
now. Yeah. Yeah. James is actually,
go ahead.
James is doing this one. James is doing this year again with Christian Woods-Manzi. So it'll be a good seminar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both studs.
Yeah. Yeah. Miguel, when you do, like, if you go or see anything or, like to mention, hey, I learned a lot then, you still, even at now, you like pick up things as you're doing.
Oh, you always pick up things. If you're a true martial artist, if you're a true person that takes you to the game, you don't stick with a certain, like, what you know, and that's it. There's always knowledge. I learned from teaching a white belt. I learned from, I can learn from anybody. It just depends on the scenario and what's going on. But when I go to a person that has more experience and more knowledge, I'm trying to be like a sponge. That's why I became so good as fast as I did. Wherever I went and I see somebody that had like practical knowledge, I just latched onto them and try to like soak up as much as I could.
Nice.
You have to be that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially in the martial arts world, because, and I think it's like you kind of humble yourself and take that whole, like the fighting part of it is always in you if that's what you like to do. Yeah. But you have to understand, like, you're not going to get any better unless you're willing to accept what people are giving you. And then obviously you're going to have criticism at times, but still, like, anywhere you go, Chad and I have talked about that a ton. Like, we joke because I'm a question person, obviously being older, like I said before, when we were talking before we started the show, but like, I'm always asking questions and Chad's like, good, I'm glad you're asking questions. You
have to grow. You have to.
Right.
Yeah. And I've said this before too, Miguel, you tell me what you think. I think that helps us as instructors grow too, because the more questions we get, it's like, oh, maybe I didn't think of that. Let's figure it out together,
Everybody learns different, Some guys learn by seeing, some guys learn by hearing, some guys got to look, like they learn by like touching or doing that themselves.
Yeah.
So everybody learns differently, So you got to like experience all those different things.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it makes it fun like that too. That's what I found and fell in love with so much with jiu-jitsu, because you get to see all those levels of learning, so you get people, obviously upper belts, like I respect and love it so much because I get to watch each one of their teaching styles or each one of their, different
learning styles.
Yeah, very much, man. Yeah. Like and it makes it so awesome because it's like, wow, I can learn this person's little bit of tweak here and then take this person over here and do that same thing.
Everybody has the same abilities to communicate, but everybody communicates differently, if that makes any sense.
No, it does for sure.
We all have 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 ears, 2 eyes, 2 noses, our nose, whatever we have. But how we learn is different, So getting to learn somebody's personality and their learning style for me, that's how I stay. Like, I'm not working every day. Like, for me, I'm learning or I'm growing.
Sure.
It makes me better. Being a better teacher makes me a better fighter. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
No, for sure, man. Definitely. What would you say is jiu-jitsu? Do you like jiu-jitsu more than Muay Thai?
I wouldn't say I like Muay Thai more than jiu-jitsu. I would say striking versus grappling. Because even jiu-jitsu by itself is just like a realm of grappling. I enjoy wrestling and judo and savate and catch wrestling, and I enjoy all the nuances of grappling. If you want to call that jiu-jitsu, I love jiu-jitsu. In the same respect, I love striking as much as Muay Thai, boxing, savate, American kickboxing, like all the different arts, because they're all beautiful in their own ways, and they all have great abilities, and they have great techniques. But if you just abide by that one style, you're stuck. Even Jeet Kune Do in itself became a style after Bruce Lee didn't want it to become a style.
Right.
Exactly.
So in essence, we're becoming his students, but if we keep that style, we're not him. We gotta like keep it open to everything. Right. So whenever I meet somebody that has like a technique or a word, anything that is gonna adopt me to teach better or to be a better person, I'll adopt it. I'm not gonna negate it or say, why didn't I learn it that way? That's not the way our system is. I have no system. My system is greatness. And there's no level to that greatness. It just keeps going up.
I love that. That's the first time I've ever heard it that way in terms of like, and I love that you brought Bruce Lee into it because obviously
he's the reason we're all here,
absolutely talk about it. Like
if you want to be serious, he's the only reason we're all here.
Yeah. And it's like, that's the icon that you always go back to. Like for, and maybe younger people don't because they're not used to that era. And obviously that changes and stuff.
It's so sad, dude. It's so sad. I'll teach a class and I have like 16-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 8-year-olds, and I'll make a reference to Enter the Dragon or like a Bruce Lee movie. And they're like, who's Bruce Lee? I get so upset. I'm like, what are you talking about? You don't know who Bruce Lee is. That's the reason you're here right now.
Right.
Yeah. You think, is that your master? I'm like, everybody's master.
Yes.
It's so funny, man. So funny.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel that at the gym when I'm at the front desk. It's like, oh, what brought you in today? When we were growing up, Bruce Lee got us into martial arts. 100%, now when I ask, it's like, well, how'd you hear about jiu-jitsu? Oh, it's Joe Rogan or whatever, which is great because he's reached a lot of people. But it's totally changed.
It's different. Yeah. It's different.
Yeah.
There's no more Samurai Sundays, kids. No more Samurai Sundays.
Remember Saturday mornings watching Kung Fu Theater, right?
All day, man.
Every Saturday. That was like the thing to watch.
You put your VCR to record and you watch it later on at night.
Yeah.
For sure. Yep.
Good stuff, man.
I tell my kids, it's kind of funny because they've been to drive-in theaters and I'm like, you have no idea. Like we used to go watch like old school Kung Fu movies at the drive-in and they would be like double feature and it was, just old school film. And you were just like, oh, this is so awesome. It's a kid sitting in the back of like a big vehicle, watching through the front window. And you were like, it was awesome. Like they were doing Kung Fu and fighting. And it was like, yeah, this is why I want to do this.
It was always the weakest guy in the village overcoming the strongest, the villain,
Every time.
And it was always Shaw Brothers.
Shaw Brothers.
Sure, all the time.
Speaking of old school Kung Fu, did you see Sonny Chiba passed away?
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah.
Yesterday.
Very sad. Yeah.
Crazy.
All the Kill Bills, man.
Yeah. All the Kill Bills.
Yeah.
Which was awesome because it's kind of nostalgic when you watch Kill Bill because it brought some of that old for us, like that old Kung Fu back, which drew us in to want to watch it and see it and go, this is awesome.
Our generation, yes. The other guys have no idea who Sonny Chiba is.
Exactly.
Right.
You're right. 100%.
Sad.
Right. You see, like you said, 16-year-old would see that and go,
who's that?
It's cool, but who is that? Right.
Is that Jackie Chan? No, bro.
Right. Yeah, no. Jackie Chan was just a boy in all those old movies. He was usually the young kid in a lot of those movies, some of them. That's good stuff, man. That's very good. Good reminiscing on like Kung Fu. Because that's where
that's where it started. That's where it started. That was the cradle of fighting for me.
Yeah. I was gonna say, did that get you into starting, Miguel? Like that's what pushed you or gave you you see it and you're like, I want to do that.
So I grew up in the hood.
Yeah, okay, brother. I'm with you.
I was bullied all the time. And I wasn't like a gang member or a thief or like or a drug dealer, or I was nobody that would like harness any kind of like violence to anybody. I was a DARE program. I went to catechism. I had straight A. I was like a nerd, but I got picked on all the time. So for me, Ralph Macchio was the man. Bruce Lee was like the king of everybody.
Right.
You had Van Damme, you had Chuck Norris, you had all these like different, you had Jackie Chan, all these, Tony Chiba, all these like old school guys. And it was always like the weakest guy. Finally met a master, went through some trials and became great. And I never met that master. And I was always trying to seek him out and never met him. And then finally, like through all my trials and traveling and stuff, I finally met Carlson and got to where I had to be. So like for me, like it's funny watching all those old movies and growing up a certain way and then seeing kids without that, like I would say backbone. But I literally become that backbone in my community because they don't have the Karate Kid or the Bruce Lees or whatever. So in my community, I'm that vessel, if you want to say.
Yeah. Which is awesome because you're that pillar.
Yeah, but it's just right here in the hood. It's not like worldwide.
Right.
It's just it's good right here on like a 40-mile radius for sure.
A 40 miles a start. We'll expand that now after today.
Oh, for sure.
Not that we can do much, but we'll try. Chad and I will be like, hey, listen.
If anyone believes in anything, I believe in this.
Yeah.
And any push is a push.
Yeah.
That's right.
As long as there's a push forward,
Yeah. Exactly. 100%, brother.
So Miguel, you got to tell me, so the kickboxing instructor you'll meet when you come out said he's a region rat, and he said you would know what that means.
Yeah. A region rat is somebody that was born in Northwest Indiana.
Okay.
In like the steel belt, they call it.
Okay.
But the steel companies and refineries around here and like the little hub we're in.
Yeah.
So you're called a region rat.
Okay. He just texted because I told him I was on with you tonight, and he said, "Tell him 219 for life."
Yeah. Tell him I got his back. My handle on Instagram is Miguel Torres MMA 219.
Okay.
For sure. I got
Sweet.
you. Nick and Nate Diaz use the 209. I'm the 219.
That's all right. I'll make sure to tell him.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, growing up like that though, and I have some, like I grew up that way too. Like I grew up rough for a while, and then my parents were divorced, so then I ended up moving with my dad, which was a totally different life. Like I gave up the hood life to move with my dad because there was difference. You know what I mean? But so I know what you mean. Like it gave you, like you've seen things like that, like you watched Bruce Lee and like the Karate Kid and stuff, and you're like, I can do that. Like I want to do that.
I wanted to prove myself that way. Nobody believed I could do it. I was the skinniest kid in school. I was a nerd. I played soccer. I wasn't the smartest. I was like in the middle of everything.
Sure, right.
And I wanted to they call me Mikey at those times. I wasn't Miguel yet.
Oh, really?
Remember Mikey from Life Cereal?
Yeah.
I was so small wherever I went. They were like, "Oh, that's Mikey," And I'm like, I hated that name so much. And I had to learn how to not learn, but figure out a way to earn respect and working a job, earning money. For me, that wasn't going to be it. It was like showing the bullies I wasn't going to be bullied no more. Showing everybody that I was a strong human being, that I can handle my own stuff, and not have to work for somebody or not have to, do what they did. I do it my own way.
Sure.
And it was against all the mainstream, and a lot of people were telling me like, "You're crazy." And to be able to follow that and be able to go where I'm at now is great. It's a testament to me, the martial arts and the training process. If you believe in yourself, visualization, manifestation, all those things that will bring you up to be what you want to be. It's just a matter of being able to see past all the sea of haters and people that don't want to believe in you. And that's the hardest part of believing in yourself. Because most times people want to see validation in others. But to be your true self, you can't worry about that validation. You got to worry about what you want to see in your heart and what you want to see in the world. And most people can't see that because they're stuck worrying about likes and worrying about what people think, So because I was so bullied and survived so many ass whoopings, I knew that I could survive getting beaten up. I had to learn how to beat somebody up. Sure. And my ego was already so dead. It wasn't about being dumb or skinny or being weak. Now it's about being strong. So my whole thing now is just after self-actualizing my life the way I did so young, now what do I do with the rest of my time? So I try to help everybody else do the same things. So that's now kind of what I try to do, for sure.
I mean, I would say, and I ask this question to every person that we hang out with and stuff like that. And you did a great explanation of this in terms of your legacy. So I always say, like, what do you want your legacy to be in, the fight world, jiu-jitsu, stuff like that? But you just said it, Miguel. Like, you're taking the knowledge that you've learned, and you've learned you learned how to handle yourself. You learned how to prove yourself without doubting yourself. You believe in yourself. And so you see a kid walk through the door, or parents that bring a kid in the door to your gym, and maybe that kid's bullied or whatever, what it's like, so you can relate to them, and then you can give them every confidence and build them and make them believe. So like when for me, I'm like, I don't have to ask that question, because I'm like, he just said that. Like, that's exactly how I look at it. Now, I've told Chad this like a million times, like, even though I'm older, like, I feel like he's given me lease on life at certain times to where it makes me believe in myself, because jiu-jitsu is hard. It's not easy. I was just talking to someone today. We were at a birthday party, and they were like, oh, you train jiu-jitsu. Like, how's that work? And, do you, like, when do you test for belts and stuff? And I was like, oh, you don't. I was like, it's like, you don't know when you're getting promoted. I was like, you just go in and you work really hard. You actually build a family there because of what you're doing, and it becomes that. And I said, you just keep showing up and keep working. And I was like, eventually, things happen, and you just get better and better and better, and you move up the ranks, and my son, who is 7 years old, he does jiu-jitsu too. And that's how it all started, because they were like, oh, well, he's a white belt and you're a white belt, but haven't you been doing it for a while? And I was like, that's not how it works.
So, we've all had that conversation more than we want to, but
For a second, I felt really dumb, because I was like, my 7-year-old's a white belt.
Belts and ranks are different, right? Belts of Taekwondo, karate, depending on the instructors and whatnot, everything.
Yeah, for sure.
But for me, like, anyone that comes to train at the gym that needs help, for me, like, it's not so much about them becoming a fighter or competing or being a world champion. It's about them being the better version of themselves. So anyone that you meet in your life that helps you become a better version of yourself, a better, I want to say, human being, not a person.
Yeah.
And a person that, like, is more confident and more giving and more loving and just more aspiring. That person for me is like a special person. So Chad for me is like a special guy, because he helps you out like that way.
Sure.
I want to think I'm that way to my people, but I got to keep myself humble and think that I could do more, Sure. So the whole thing with that is like, when you're passing on knowledge, if you keep that knowledge to yourself, what are you really doing? You're just being stingy. You have to give it out. You have to give it on to the other side. You have to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Pay it forward, man. Give back and all that stuff. I just asked, I didn't tell Terry this or not, but I asked a couple of our blue belts to teach classes in a couple weeks, because they are very good at a couple different things. So they're going to come in and teach class. And, myself being a black belt, and we have another black belt, we're going to take their class. And I feel that's just, that next step of kind of giving back and letting them learn to teach and ask questions and get questions and all that. So
that's just training the next generation.
Yeah.
Give them the confidence to speak their voice. 100%.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm in the same flux now.
Yeah.
Thing right now myself.
How long have you had your gym, Miguel? Your current gym, your new facility.
The new facility I've had for 2 years.
2 years. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. I started when I was 7.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's huge, man. It's huge.
Yeah.
I started when I was 17. When I was like 19, 20, the guys that I was training kind of quit coming around. So I kept it going.
Okay.
And then moved to a different spot, and then just kept growing it since about 2000. So I've been doing this for about 20 years. I've been doing it for a while.
Nice.
Yeah. So where we started to where we're at now is a huge, huge change. We're in a great facility right now.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool. In the jiu-jitsu community, and what I'm finding out, and you guys both probably would agree, it's not huge. Like, I always thought it was like, once I got into it, I was like, oh, this is really big. But then I found out it's like, no, it's not really big at all.
It's huge right now. It was not huge in fucking 2000.
right.
In 92, it was not huge. It's huge. It's huge right now, man. We got the internet and we have iPhone. We're good.
Right. Yeah. Every video you could just keep going through and just keep seeing it. And I'm always.
In the old days, we had to buy tapes. It was $1,000 for like a Marco Huaz like pack.
Yeah.
You had ankle locks, you had takedowns, I had arm bars. Everybody had like a different version of the tape. Hilarious.
Yeah.
So I know you wrestled when you were young, man. Did that help at all?
Actually, I didn't wrestle when I was younger.
Oh, I thought you did.
That was the only one thing I didn't do.
Oh, okay.
I did karate, taekwondo, kung fu. I did all the nerd sports that didn't require athleticism. And when I couldn't afford the classes because they were trying to promote me every week.
Right.
Because I was so dedicated that I couldn't afford it. I
Sure.
we were broke, so I had to like stop that, go to a different art, and then eventually like I met a guy that was training, and when I was in high school, his name was Eugene Calderon, and a guy named Miguel Segura, and a guy named Daniel Pantoja, and a guy named Clifford Radford. There were 4 guys. They had a gym in a garage, and I was friends of one of the girls I was going to school with. Her name was Lilia Segura, rest in peace. And her brother trained. And I went to the garage one day and we fought. I was beating the brother up with boxing. He takes the gloves off, takes me down and chokes me with my t-shirt.
Oh man.
On my neck. I had slash marks all over my face.
Ooh.
Didn't know about tapping. Didn't know about going to sleep. I just knew he whooped my ass. And I was not mad. I got up. I shook his hand with my boxing gloves on. And I'm like, dude, I want to learn that. What was that? He told me that was jiu-jitsu. And that was the first experience with jiu-jitsu. And from then on, like I literally like, that's all I started training with.
Nice.
That and striking still, but still like jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Part of my stuff. It became real instantly. I was choked with my t-shirt. I never thought that could ever happen, Then I go to school the next day and I have all these like rope burns all over my face because like a t-shirt's like a rope. And he's trying to choke me. It was hilarious, man.
That's Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club.
No, we talk about it all the time.
Right, I know.
Whenever you want, bro. Whenever you want.
But it's funny. Like I always think when I first started, I would come home and I would have like marks all over me. You know, 2 white belts going at it is like
it's 2 pit bulls fighting each other.
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'd come home and I'd always have marks on my face, and my wife would go, "What are you doing?" Then she would joke and go, "Are you going to Fight Club tonight?" I was like, "We don't talk about Fight Club.
We don't talk about that." Yeah.
So I always say, people, you get those people that say jiu-jitsu is not a fight. I'm like, you've never watched 2 white belts go at it. Yeah, it's a fight.
It's a fight. Yeah.
It's
a white belt versus anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
For sure. Yeah, against anybody.
I learned very fast. I'm like, I don't want to, I'm too old for that. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to fight. Like I will, but it's like, I want to learn. Like, I want to absorb like all these moves. Like my fighting days are kind of past me now, like I've gotten into some tuffles in the white belt area, but of course that's going to happen. But now I'm all like, yeah, that guy, you want to roll with that guy? He's like, or he'll ask me like, you want to roll? And I'm like, nah, dude, you're like 22 years old and we're good. I'm like, you go roll with that guy over there. I'm like, I'm cool.
Every day's a fighting day, brother.
Yes.
Every day's a fighting day.
Or there'll be times when I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's just get after it. And then whatever happens. So.
Have to. Usually what happens is I'll lay down on top of the guy and just squeeze him and hold him down for about 5 minutes. That's about it.
Well, Chad's always like, he's like, let them burn themselves out.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the problem is
they won't. I just hold the whole time.
That's the problem.
It's for the I'm the guy for the next guy. Now when he goes to somebody else, now he's burned out. Now he'll do jiu-jitsu.
Then he'll do it right.
I'm the warm-up.
Like I'm holding on for like, and I'll look up at the clock and I'm like, holy crap.
What's going on?
I'm like, well, we got like 40 seconds. He hasn't stopped. Like he hasn't slowed down. I'm like, my grips are starting to get tired. My forearms are starting to give out. I was like, oh crap, And then I'm like, hey, you want to go another round? Or someone else will be like, you ready to roll? I'm like, nah, dude. Like I got to sit on the pole for a second. I'm an old guy. Not really, kind of, but and then I'll watch them roll again. And I'm like, it's not fair. You need to go run a while or something, pick my cardio up. No, it is what it is.
Yeah. Learning how to roll.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all we have.
That's it.
What's your favorite? Go ahead, Chad.
I was just going to ask him about, to tell his story a little bit. How did you get hooked up with Carlson Sr.?
I was training with De La Riva. So I started fighting when I was young, and there was no black belts in Indiana, in the Midwest in the old days. And it was like 98, 99. And the highest rank was like a blue belt. And if you had a blue belt, you were like a black belt in jiu-jitsu in the area. Mm-hmm. So I would travel to Brazil to train with De La Riva. I met a guy named Marcelo Montero, and he was trained under De La Riva. So I went to Brazil, and I literally had no idea where his gym was at. This was before like the internet was like Google search or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I had like a map press directions that did not fit in Brazil where I was at. I thought Spanish and Portuguese were similar, and they were not. So I get there, and I'm thinking everyone's gonna know when I ask who's Ricardo De La Riva's. Where's his gym? They're gonna say it's over there. No one knew what the hell I was talking about for 5 days. on my 6th day. And when I taxi cab back from the mall, and I seen a sign that had the Lahiva's like insignia, his symbol. And I'm like, stop the taxi. I threw him like $10, got out. And his gym was like in a giant, like a Fitplex, but it was in the basement where the pools were. So it was the pools, all like the Olympic sized pools downstairs in the basement in Brazil. So that means it's humidity and it's hot as shit downstairs. All right. And his room was next to ours. And it wasn't like regular mats. It was one of those long tarps pulled across like carpet padding. Yeah. So it was like an ice rink and it was hot. And I went down there, introduced myself, talked to him to who I knew, and he invited me in, and I stayed there for a month. So I would go down every year in the beginning of my career and go to Brazil for like a month or 6 weeks. And I would train with De La Riva. And the 3rd year I went down, De La Riva was like, dude, I was a pro belt under him. And De La Riva was telling me, why do you keep coming to Brazil? I don't train fighters. My instructor, Carlson Gracie Jr., he's in Chicago. You should hang out with him. You're from Chicago. Even though my passport said East Chicago, Indiana. Everywhere I travel, nobody understands that means East Indiana, not Illinois.
They just read the first part.
Chicago's right there, you know.
Right.
So I go to Chicago. Finally, I get back from Brazil. I go to Chicago to meet Carlson. Carlson's not in Chicago. He's in Brazil. He just went to Brazil. But all of his fighters were there. Stephan Bonner and like all the guys they had fighting for him at the time.
Oh, nice.
And they all knew who I was. We all fought in the same area. At that time, MMA was illegal in Chicago. So all the Chicago promoters came to Hammond, Indiana. It was literally we're the tip of the border from Chicago and Illinois.
Okay.
Or Chicago and Indiana.
Yeah.
So we're right there. So they all came to us in Hammond. So when all the Chicago promoters would come to Indiana, they would ask around like, who's the popular fighters around here? Me being one of the smallest guys, they wouldn't believe it. And I would start on the card as like the 2nd or 3rd fight on the card, but I would sell like 300 tickets. And after I would leave my fight, I wouldn't stick around for the main event. I would leave. And so would my crowd, but they bought like the first 2 rows of the cage or the ring or whatever it was. So promoters would get mad, like, dude, it looks horrible with the bottom start, all empty. So, anyways, I finally became the main event. Carlson seen me fight. He got back and he met me and told me that he was going to make me a world champion, and that was like pretty much how it all started. And from there, like he was by my side the whole time. Yeah, anytime I competed jiu-jitsu, whenever I fought, whenever I was training or against somebody that was tough. He was always right by my side, always.
Yeah. And talk about, I mean, people that, younger generation, talk about a legend, right? I mean,
I had no idea how much of a legend.
Right.
I was so ignorant to the history of everything.
Yeah.
I had no idea how heavy he was.
Yeah. But looking back now, man,
I literally had the godfather of MMA.
Yeah. You had
in my corner.
You had Elvis in your corner, right?
Yes,
yes. That dude was such a, obviously I never met him, but just a personality watching videos and.
Bro, wherever we went, we would go to Chipotle. He'd walk behind the counter, hug and kiss the girl that was the cashier, say hi to all the cooks. He'd sit down. He wouldn't even get in line. He'd get his food and bring it to him. They knew what he wanted already.
Right.
Like wherever we went, he just had stories and gifts, and he was just like the brightest spirit of a human being you could ever meet,
Yeah.
He was an old person, but he was an older soul, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure.
He was an amazing human being.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I watched a lot of interviews with past fighters and stuff talking about him doing that Chipotle, Starbucks.
Yeah.
Handing out, did he hand out like video cassettes or audio cassettes?
CDs.
Or CDs.
I have all of his old CDs still. So he would make CDs because he would travel all over the world. So he spoke like 5 different languages. So he'd make CDs from like first track was from Turkey, second one from Russia, the third one's a Mexican song, the fourth was like Elvis. Like he would have different countries. He would call them international, and he literally like draw the pit bull himself, and he like write his name on it. He literally make a CD. The old days when you would make a tape,
you
like write it out and stuff.
Yeah,
he handmade all his DVD or CDs. Sorry, not DVDs, CDs.
Yeah,
and we'd travel, and he always had a fanny pack, and he'd pull out his fanny pack, T-shirts, shorts, CDs, chocolate, whatever it was like a bat belt, man. It was like Deadpool satchel, whatever he could imagine would come out of that thing, man. It was insane.
That's pretty sweet though. But I mean, that's like a huge memory thing. Like that's not something you ever forget, and that you see it and you know it. And that's something that people never forget from him, because it's not just like who he was, it was the way that he presented himself and the way he treated people.
He was a passionate person that believed in the movement, and the movement was life. And that life was jiu-jitsu. And that jiu-jitsu for him was in the martial art realm. But for me, I tried to expand that, but encompass all martial arts, like always, not just one way. And he was the same way. Anytime somebody would come down that was a catch wrestler or a judo guy or whatever, he would always try to pick one or two really good nuggets from that guy to like take it to his style.
Yeah.
So he wasn't like a closed off minded person that this is our style, this is all we do. He would take whatever works.
Which it's life in general, or I should say it should be the way people get themselves in life or act in life. You know what I mean?
Like the way you have to be, man. You got to be functional, to be successful. You have to adapt to the situations you're put in. You can't always you're not born into where you were born into.
Sure.
But you have to work your way out of it. Or you got to work your way up. You can't stay where you're at. Being where you're at means you're dead. Yeah. And going down, it means you're even worse than dying.
Right.
You have going up or going forward, even if it's one step at a time. You got to make a step.
You can't be stagnant. Like if you're stagnant,
you're dead.
Yeah, you're dead. Like even if you don't act on something that you want, or like, and I've told Chad this before, it may be like whatever you believe in or your faith, or if you're praying, like if you don't act on it, it's not going to happen. Like you can't just sit there and be like, well, I hope this happens.
Even if you don't believe in faith and you're an atheist person, you still have to have the ability to understand that you have to have goals. You got to set them. And you got to make a plan. You got to make a plan to pursue them. Because if you don't, you're going to be stuck where you're at tomorrow. And if you're stuck in the same place every day, it's worse than being dead. Because you're living and you're a zombie, and now you're just living for nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
That old saying, "If you don't live for anything, you fall for everything." Same thing.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta be for something, even if it's a bad thing. You gotta be for what you're for.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, what are you doing in your life? You're wasting it.
Yeah, you're wasting it. You're not serving a purpose that you put here for.
You're just being a consumer.
Yeah,
that's the worst thing to be as a consumer.
Yeah.
You want to be a player. To be a player, you gotta have goals. To have goals, you gotta write them down. You gotta make a plan. You gotta study. You gotta you gotta get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you always approach your fighting that way too? Like when you were training to come up to like get in?
No.
Oh, no, really?
No,
okay.
Not at all. I've grown. I'm 40 years old, bro. I'm not 18 no more.
How is this? I just had this conversation with my wife. I'm like, why is it that when you get older, like this type of stuff that I'm asking right now, you become like, I'm pretty smart.
I've survived a lot of wars, man.
When you're 18, you're like, yeah.
It's not just like the fights that I've had. One fight is like 1,000 fights before that one fight. Because one hour of training in the old days, in the fucking 90s, in the early 2000s, it was not like you hit pads and you did push-ups and you did cardio. No, 10 guys came and they all put their shit on, and you got in the middle and you sparred everybody for 5 minutes until you got turned to mush or they turned to mush, and everybody was done. And that was how we trained. Or they started in the mount. You started in the worst spot and you had to work your way out. If you weren't tough enough to survive that, you couldn't fight, So the old days was tough, man. The old days was like, by the time I got to my heyday, when I stepped in the cage with like 10 guys, they weren't short taking me. I was short taking them. There was no timer. They would say, how long are the rounds? I'm like, however long you last, bro. This could be a 2-minute round or a 10-minute round. I don't know.
Yeah.
And when you're done, sit your ass down and tell your friend to come in. And that was how it was. And there was no shin guards. There was no boxing gloves.
Right.
Mouthpiece, cup, MMA gloves. And that was it.
Just went at it.
That was it, man.
Yeah.
So you survived that many encounters for one fight. Now you have 60 fights.
Yeah.
You survived a lot of fucking brushes with death and danger.
Yeah. And not only like you were probably the smallest guy in your gym too. Yeah, back
always,
then.
Man. Always.
And you had like a who's who of training partners, like some heavy hitters.
Yeah. Yeah. The old days was different. Like the lightest weight class in the UFC was 155.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a 130-pound guy going to fight at 130, in between 130 and 150 or 160. It was 130 and 130 and 160.
Yeah.
That was lightweight. Then middleweight was 160 to 190, and then heavyweight was 190 to 220, and the heavyweight was 220 and above.
Wow.
Yeah,
dude, crazy, man. Like guys would cut down. I wrestled Dustin Haslett in a Arnold Classic at the lightweight bracket, and the cutoff was 160, and he cut from like 185.
Oh yeah,
Dustin Haslett was like tall.
He's tall.
Tall.
Yeah,
and I'm like 130 pounds, like weighing in with quarters in my pockets and my clothes on to like make the weight,
Yeah,
crazy, man. Those days are crazy.
Yeah. Would you have been a 125er? Like if the class was available then, would you have went that low?
At that time, yes.
Yeah, you would have. Yeah.
Once I got past like the WEC days, I was like walking around 145, 150.
Okay.
And it wasn't until like the UFC days I got into like my 160s.
Right.
So by then I was already cutting, but before that I would cut 4 pounds. I would show up, not eat for a couple of days or sweat a little bit and just get on the scale.
Get on scale, you're good to go. Right.
Yeah. So
which cutting less weight isn't a bad thing either, right? I mean,
not at all. But that was the advantage that I had.
Yeah.
The guys that I were fighting at that time, they were like emaciated. They were like, their eyes were sunken in. They looked like tired, like they were like passing out. And I'm like, I'm dancing like I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
A way different scenario.
Yeah. Some of them WEC fights, man, were awesome.
Well, it was a smaller cage. And we were smaller guys.
Yeah. So
we had something to prove.
Yeah.
Nobody. So in the old days, I would tell guys I was a fighter, right? Mm-hmm. I would be out and they'll be like, well, how much do you weigh? I'm like 135. And they're like, my girlfriend weighs 135. And I'm like, I'll beat your ass, bro. You know, nobody had respect for the smaller guys.
Right.
You know? Yeah. And I would like to think that from what me and Uriah Faber did, we kind of changed that perception for people.
Oh.
So all the females and guys that are 35, 45, 25, 15, any female and whatever, me and Uriah Faber kind of started that, you know?
Yeah. It seems like one of you were headlining them WECs.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm glad he still has his accolades and still makes money from them. But good for you, Uriah. I'm happy for you, bro. You made it, dog. You got it. Fuck you, Dana. But I'm still all right, people. I'm still all right. I did it my own way.
That's the best way. Do it your own way.
Well,
not always, but
I don't have a boss. You know what? Hey,
you don't have a boss. Exactly.
It was hard. It was hard, but I made it my own way, man.
Sure.
Made it my own way.
Go ahead.
And it was just giving back. It wasn't like I took anything from anybody.
Sure. Right.
I made it giving back. And I'm not even there yet, bro. I'm still on the way there. You're
grinding every day. Like,
what else is there? What am I going to do? Retire?
Right. Yeah. Right. That's,
man, I still want to work.
Chad, go ahead, Miguel.
Go ahead. No, you're good.
No. I was good. Chad, I mentioned the whole walker thing. Like we're going to be old and going on the mat and with walkers. Yeah. Miguel's going to be the same because obviously he's on this road. He's not coming off that. You're not coming off.
I'm not going to use a walker, bro. I will get a cart and I will pull myself on my hands on the cart.
Right.
There you go.
Use a walker. I'll do it the old ways.
Just the old ways. Yes.
Skateboard, longboard.
Any way you can get on there and then have at it.
Uber. I think we have Uber now. I'll use Uber it. Whatever.
What size was the cage in WC?
I think 28.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
It was way smaller because I know the first time I fought in the UFC cage, I would always jog around WC cage and puff out like
right.
And it was like a 5-second jog, you know. I got a UFC cage and I was like 20 seconds. I'm like, oh shit. This is a long fucking cage, man. It's big plate.
And that's what I wondered. Like when you first went into it, were you like, oh shit?
There's so much room.
Okay.
Acclimate yourself. Even though it doesn't really matter what size place you're in if you're there to fight.
Sure.
It just gives you way more room to run away.
Yeah, it changes.
It changes a lot of things.
It changed a lot.
In the WC cage, once I came a couple of steps, your back's on the fence. You're stuck. We're fighting each other. UFC, you could back 3 or 4 steps and you're still not on the cage yet and still can cut. So it's a little bit different.
Did you always change your game? I mean, like knowing. So when you went from the smaller cage to the bigger cage, were you like, okay, I need to redo, or did your coaches like say, hey, we have to approach this differently because of the smaller cage? Like your approach is going to be different.
At the time that I was switching, my only approach was going forwards. My approach was balls deep.
Okay. So it didn't matter.
Like I put my hands up, I walked forward, I ate a couple shots, gave a couple shots, got it arranged to get into a fight.
Sure.
I wanted to cause pressure immediately and keep that pressure till I wore you down and then break you and then submit you or knock you out or whatever it was. In theory, it's nice. But as people study tape and they realize you're going to walk forward no matter what, this stupid ass is going to come forward no matter what, dude. Right. If you're smart and sucker him into something, you'll catch him. Then I was like, oh, there's a game plan to this game. So then I tried to like go back to the drawing board and stuff. But what made me was that fearlessness and going forward. But I was scared. But now I was scared because I got knocked out, you know?
Right.
So how do you be fearless but be scared at the same time? It's a paradoxical term that you're in a flux. Like, what do? You go forward no matter what, but you're hesitant. So now you're not going forward 100%, you know? And then whatever happens. So after my second loss against Benavidez, I went back to the drawing board. I met Faraz Sahabi. He offered me a bunch of help through Echo MMA. They put us together, and the guys in Canada hooked me up, and we went down. I was there for like 2 or 3 months, changed my whole style. But even though he changed my style, my instincts were still my instincts. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What I trained was different than what I knew, but what I knew is what I'm comfortable with. So I was fighting myself. So if you could notice the first couple of fights when I was a TriStar, I was fighting myself, not fighting my opponent, trying to figure myself out.
Trying to figure yourself out, yeah.
The rest of my career, whatever happened, I was learning a new way and couldn't figure it out. I got fired a second time, had a fucked up knee. I broke my hand. When you're a garbage man and you break your knee or you hurt your leg, you still got to go to work, you know?
Sure, yeah.
And I had bills to pay. The gym was doing okay, but I helped so many guys out. I wasn't taking enough cash in, and I still had to fight. Had a couple losses, learned some more things. After I retired, after everything's settled and done, there was no more pressure. There was no more injuries. There was no more training camps. I had time to like relax and settle. And then when I was in the gym every day and I was still sparring guys that wanted to train for fights or guys training for tournaments, I was getting so much better not having pressure for training for a fight, not having to be who I was or who I made who I was. And like for me now, I'm a whole different human being now from retiring. I kind of want to fight again, but I just don't know. I don't know if the time. I'm so busy with the gym.
Yeah,
I have 2 little boys.
Good. Sure.
No, it's great, but
I was going to ask you if you feel that itch still, though.
Like, oh man, bro,
always. Like once you're there,
not for jiu-jitsu. Like to compete in jiu-jitsu, no. But to bare knuckle box somebody, or to do MMA again, the itch is not even. It's the one is there. It's not even an itch. It's a want. I want to, man. I didn't want to retire. I had to, personal reasons.
Sure.
My life, take care of a lot of stuff. And I'm selling a lot of those things now, and a lot of the dust has settled out. The gym is doing well. It's just the fact that I teach so much now. Once I can help train people to help me teach classes where I can be gone for a month or 2 to do a training camp or something.
Sure.
I'll try to pursue something. I want to. I know I'm not old. I don't feel old.
Yeah, right.
I still beat the shit out of 20-year-olds that come to the gym that are fighters, you know. So they don't have that. I don't want to say they're not in shape. They don't have that toughness. The mental toughness of a guy that's 40, a guy that's our age, and a guy that's a younger guy that just is everything is different.
And it's like we've talked about the nostalgic of like Bruce Lee and like us growing up in certain areas and doing stuff like that. Like I think that makes a person too, like versus like fighters today and you like Miguel, like a fighter in the past. It's like you learn differently. Chad learned jiu-jitsu in a garage as a young person, had to go to a bunch of seminars, did all kinds of stuff. Yeah. You did the same thing. Yeah. And a lot of the guys, a lot of the older guys that we hang out with and talk to, that's been the MO. And like, I grew up, rough, like I fought a lot, like even in younger school, like there was a certain hill we came by every day. And it was like, either you find a new way home or someone's fighting on this hill, like every single day. It's just the way it was. And eventually I found a different way home because you get tired of fighting all the time.
Remember MapQuest?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? So I'm traveling. I'm trying to train with Chris Lytle in Indianapolis. I live like 2.5, 3 hours away. And there's no GPS for the kids in the old days. There's no what is that on your phone?
The maps on iPhone.
No MapQuest.
No Google and all that. Yeah.
You printed directions out and you had to drive in a car by yourself.
Yeah.
And have a sheet of paper and try to get your flashlight. Look at it when you're driving. Find the exit. Dude, I would try to find gyms and I would get lost for like 4 hours. And I would find the gym and it was closed. And I would park in the parking lot and go to sleep. Wake up, go to Dunkin' Donuts at like 6, buy a coffee, do a horse bath real quick.
Yep.
I don't smell. Go back to the gym and show up when they open and train. Leave at a restaurant, drive back in the parking lot, go back to sleep again, get up and do the same shit. So the old days were crazy, man. If you suffered for your knowledge, you're a true martial artist. And not to say if you don't have to suffer for it, you're not true, but you're different if you had to like pay the price for it differently.
The mentality is different. The mindset is different.
I almost died like 10 times trying to learn martial arts. You know, how many stories of Brazil where I'm staying in a hostel with like 4 Frenchmen and the Israeli terrorists.
You're like, great.
My passport's there. My money's there. You know, I'm like, shit, I almost just died here. Or I almost got robbed in a taxi. So just to learn like an armbar or something like that. I'm trying to learn the La Hiva guard, you know? So different than getting a DVD or watching on YouTube now.
Sure. Yeah.
Just a little. Just a little.
Different reference.
I was going to say a little. Here's Miguel in a hostel trying to learn an armbar. And there's the new age kid over here. He's like, yo, there's like a YouTube video that I can watch.
No, dude. Like, it was a hippie doing opium. Like, hey, man, what are you guys doing? That's crazy.
Oh, yeah, that's it too. Yeah.
Whole different thing.
That's what makes you still want to fight, though, because you did that. Like, you grind it in the dark. You know what I mean? Like, you grind in the dark, you work hard in the dark. And I'm not trying to take anything away from anyone now that's doing it at all, but it is different. There is a difference between old school fighters and new school fighters, both jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, in the cage, MMA. Like, it is different versus, you know, nowadays.
It's hard jumping out of a plane and feeling that rush. And not doing it again. And you can watch someone else jump out of a plane and you can hear the stories about it and you can listen to it. But that thought of doing it yourself never is going to go away. And there comes a point where you can't do it no more. At a certain age, jumping out of a plane is not smart.
Sure, 100%.
I'm not there yet, you know? Yeah. I'm not there yet. So we'll see what happens. 100%.
You keep working, brother. Just keep working, doing what you're doing, man.
Keep putting out good energy, man. That's all I got to do.
Right
good things will happen. If you put it out good will happen. I ain't worried about that. That's how I live my whole life. That's how I got where I was at. And so I'm going to go where I'm going to be.
100%, dude. 100%. You travel much now to do any like training? Do you ever get
training? No, I'll train in Orlando. I had in the old days. It was a Lions gym. Bruno Malpacini has his gym out there.
Oh, okay.
And if I ever cross train with him, I have a couple buddies that come down from like different states to come down and cross train at my gym. But I'm so busy where I'm at now, for training purposes, it's hard to train. I literally teach pretty much almost all my classes.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's Chad. You teach. I mean, like our no-gi class, and like you do it. But I mean, Pete, our other resident black belt, will teach no-gi. But Chad's always teaching like constantly, like during the day, at night. Like he's always.
No matter what I've done, no matter what I've done in my career, I've always had a gym. From my first fights till now, my whole career, I've always had an academy.
Nice.
When I was in the WEC, I had a giant academy. And I think I was floating like 30, 40 people. And you learn from like what you do. You know, like it's hard to do a fight career and run a business and do whatever.
Yeah.
But for me, just running a business, the most important thing is just that it's not even just me or what I make or what I get. It's so much like how much my students, how better they become from what they want to, like what their goals are. Mm-hmm. So for me, like a day is draining because I give so much of my personal self to so many people that when I come home, it's like trying to refill that cup, you know?
Right.
And that gets hard sometimes. You got to go to bed. You got to get up in the morning again. So it's like.
Do it again.
That constant process. But that's life, you know? You either give back or you don't. And if you don't, you're a scumbag.
Yeah. Right on, brother. No, I agree with you, man. Because I mean, it's 100%.
That's all there is now. What else is there, bro? What else is there in existence?
Yeah.
Besides helping out your fellow man.
Yeah.
You can have all the money in the world, have all the women, have all the whatever you want. And at the end of the day, when you die, what do you take with you?
Yeah. You can't. Nothing.
What do you leave behind? Everybody picking through your shit.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to take. So when I die, there won't be anything to take, I promise you. No cash, no jewels, but there's knowledge.
Yeah.
So get that shit now if you can.
Yeah.
It's a good way to put it.
I was gonna say,
that's the way it is.
Like,
man.
It's a great way to put it. It's like
it's very blunt, but it's very true, man.
Yeah,
we're all gonna die. As we were born, we're all gonna die.
Right.
So it's what we do with our lives that makes us different than everybody else. You know. So
and it serves no purpose to hoard that stuff. It doesn't. Like it serves no purpose in your life to hoard information. It doesn't serve you. Like
if you're greedy, it is.
Sure, right. Yeah, no, if you're 100%,
if you're greedy,
and that would probably go back to this.
If you're unhappy and you're a hater, of course, hoard your shit.
Right.
I'm not a hater, bro. I'm a participator. I want to help get everybody greater than me, you know?
Right on. For sure. That's awesome, dude. It's good stuff. Like, awesome. Like, I just love it. So no competing jiu-jitsu. You're done. You're not going to compete jiu-jitsu anymore?
No, I'm not saying I will never compete again.
Oh, okay.
I broke my leg a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Oh, did you really?
I smashed it in half.
Man.
And I didn't make a mention about it. I didn't make a post about it because I wanted to fight again before I broke my leg. And I'm like, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to get back. And then COVID hit. And I was like, oh, shit. So that made it even worse, right? So I went through a depression for like a year and a half. I had just opened a new gym. I had just broke my leg. COVID hit after that. I lost a bunch of students. And then when it opened up again, there was that e-learning stuff.
Yeah.
Kids weren't going to school. So none of my morning classes were dead.
Okay, yeah.
So all the parents had to be home with their kids.
Sure.
And then anyone in the evening classes, they were also dead because their parents were like, they didn't want to put the kids in jiu-jitsu, get sick, or bring it back home. So it was like a rough 7-8 months. Once the new year hit, everything changed. So now that we're doing good again, everything's building up. My whole goal is to try to build up my crew that's helped me teach, and then try to get back in the game to compete again in jiu-jitsu and MMA and whatever fun things I want to get into.
Sure,
in the old days when I was fighting, it was about my family name. It was about my friends. It was about my students and my academy. And this time I want to be selfish. I want to do a little bit for me. A couple, not a 10-year stint, 2 or 3 years. Get a little bit fun.
Right.
Call some people. I'll talk some shit. Be a different person. Be who I want to be.
There you go. Yeah.
I can't get fired no more, so it'll be all right.
Just be your own man.
Yep.
That's, that's good. Good. Crap. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I completely lost my train of thought. Yeah.
Gone.
It was something to do with jiu-jitsu, and I cannot remember what it was.
Well, jiu-jitsu and tacos go together. So I can let you know that right now. After you train jiu-jitsu, you should have at least 2 tacos de carne asada and 1 de chorizo. At least.
At least.
Salsa optional depending on your palate. But for sure.
See, we need a food truck, Chad, to come to the gym.
Yeah.
So Terry can get these tacos, because
that'd be tight.
Miguel, now I'm hungry, man.
Listen, you're talking to me. I'm always hungry. That's my problem. I'm always hungry.
That's awesome. Very cool.
So I got a question, Miguel. We always talk. We hear the gi no gi battle. Do you have a I know you came up old school. You're a gi guy. Did you train a lot of gi when you were still doing MMA?
I came up actually no gi because I was from a garage gym. I literally learned jiu-jitsu from like guys that went to a Carlson Gracie seminar for 3 days that got blue belts that knew a bunch of shit,
Yeah.
And there was like no gis. We had like a taekwondo gi that I wore. And again, slash marks all over the place. And by the time I was able to afford a jiu-jitsu gi, it was the Krugans. Remember the Krugans?
Oh, yeah.
The old school?
Yeah.
My first one was the Krugans. Remember the old school Tamas? Yep. With the American flag and the Brazilian flag on the same shoulder?
Yep.
So I had those. Those were my first 2 gis.
I had both those.
And the original gameness, that heavy, thick.
The platinum. Oh, my God.
Oh, man. Yeah. It was like the pipple was all huge on the chest and the back. Yeah. So
heaviest gi ever made.
I didn't do gi in the beginning. I did. They were too expensive. I did no gi in the beginning. I tore my ACL, I want to say like in 2000, and I had my surgery done. And after my surgery, I was working at a hospital. My doctor told me, you can still train after you recover, but you can't do no gi. You can't do MMA or wrestling. You got to do with the gi and do more controlled technique. And I'm like, but I don't fight that way. For me, everything was centered around fighting. I didn't want to do gi at all.
Right.
I put the gi on. I slowed down. I had to go back to the beginning again.
Yeah.
I think I was like 14 fights in before I tore my ACL. 15 fights in, 15-0. And then I had to slow everything down and became a student again of like learning beginning things and fell in love with jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And then when I got better again, I put the gi on. I was teaching gi and no gi now. In the beginning, I had just taught no gi stuff.
Okay.
And after I started training with the gi, I started going to Brazil, training with De La Riva, training with Marcelo Machero, training with these different guys. And that Carlson, and then Carlson, I think, I was a 4-stripe brown belt under Carlson, and he had passed in February. And I was going to get my black, I think like in March or April, and he had passed that February. And then for like 2 or 3 years, I had won the WC title already I think I had defended it a second time. And we were in Vegas training, and it was like on a Sunday at Drysdale's gym. We all wore our gis. Everyone assumed I was a black belt, and I still was wearing a brown belt. And then Carlson Jr. heard about that, and then that's how I became whatever I got my black belt. Yeah.
Nice. Were you surprised when you got it, or did you know? Did you kind of know it was coming?
I kind of knew it was coming.
Okay.
I didn't want a black belt for a long time. A lot of guys wanted to give me one, just so I say that I was under them. I didn't want to be under them, and they never really trained me.
Sure.
Even though I never really trained with Carlson Jr., his dad was the one that was my last trainer, so I wanted to be under that same family.
Yeah, the whole lineage. Yeah,
the whole lineage.
Yeah.
So
when you went and trained with Della Riva or Della Riva, I'm sorry, in Brazil, like did that become like something that you liked, that move, that lock in, that tie in?
For me, it was an amazing experience because I got to go to the source of the knowledge.
That's why I wonder, when you said that, I was like, man.
When I would go to Brazil and I would train in a Brazilian academy or academies, because I wouldn't just go to one gym, I'll go to like 5 gyms.
Sure.
And I would see how they run their programs. I would see it was not much different how we ran our programs. I just had to push the pressure a little more,
Okay.
In Brazil, it's 120 degrees. You wearing a gi. There's no AC. There's no fan. There's no window. You're going to be in there. You're going to suffer, and you're going to learn. And you're going to get good, or you're not. You're going to quit. And so that was kind of how, in the beginning, like the first 10 years of my gyms, that was how it was. Because I was always training for fights, always competing. If you weren't there to compete and be the best, I didn't want you there. So I always had a crew of guys that were like just always giving their all. And that helped me get me where I was at.
Nice.
100%. It was just once I got there and they became comfortable, then they all got lost in their little vices.
Yeah, their path. Their path. They've gotten their path, their vices and stuff. Yeah.
When I arrived, they also arrived, and then everybody got comfortable.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And there was no checks and balances because I was so busy doing what I had to do.
Right. Can't be complacent though, man. You can't be comfortable. Once you become, like you said,
I got comfortable. I did. Yep.
Not no more, man. You're running a sweet gym. You got all these.
There's no comfortable, bro. I
was gonna say
not no more.
I was gonna say you got little boys. You got there's no comfortable.
No, there's no comfortable.
Train all day. They come home and like, hey, Dad.
Yep. No, they're in the gym. Hey, Dad.
I was gonna say.
Get home. Hey, Dad, and you go to sleep. They're in my face. Hey, Dad. Wake up. They're right here.
How old are you boys?
They're right there. I have one son that's going to be 3 next month.
Nice.
And then I have a son that's 4.
Awesome.
And I have a daughter that's 14.
Awesome, dude. Congratulations, brother. Cool.
I'm not a grandpa yet, but I feel like one. Shit.
Come on, you're only 40.
Nah, I'm good, bro.
You got a ways to go.
Long way to go.
Yeah, that's right. Just keep grinding.
Yep.
Keep repping everything that you're doing, man, and keep the Torres names going.
Got the boys coming up now, man. They're gonna be the next rumble in the street.
I was gonna ask you, I mean, I know they're young and stuff, and everyone there at the gym, but do they take it as serious as what you give it to them? Like, I
wouldn't make anybody fight, but if my sons wanted to fight, I'd be there 100% for them.
Right on.
If they wanted me there, I'd be there 100% for them. If they say my son wanted to be a dancer, a ballet dancer, or an artist, or a guitarist, or a celloist, I would give him whatever I could, credence to help him become the best he could in that.
Right on.
Yeah, whatever they want to become. But if they really do want to become martial artists,
just I know
I know a couple guys.
I was gonna say
I'm good.
A few.
They'll be all right.
Yep. A few peeps that can help them out.
They'll be all right.
Out along the way. So you guys do everything at your gym? Do you do Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, or the whole 9?
So I won't call it Muay Thai because I'm not. I'm not a Muay Thai specialist.
Okay.
I'll call it striking.
Okay, striking.
And when I say striking, it encompasses. So for me, how I've learned striking, I've trained Taekwondo, karate, Muay Thai, American kickboxing, Savate, regular boxing, from like 4 or 5 different styles of camps. So everybody's style of fighting, standing up is different. Like in jiu-jitsu, everybody's style of jiu-jitsu is different. Some guys use more catch wrestling. Some guys use more randori. Some guys use more Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Everybody uses different stuff. And I like to call my striking program a striking program. So I teach whatever I find that has been successful in striking that I have used and I've seen been used, I adopt. If there's a technique that is taught to me that I know that's not good, I'm not going to teach that to my students. I know it's not, there's an arm bar. You learn the beginning arm bar. You grab the cross sleeve in the collar and you pull it across. In real life, that's never going to work because the guy's not going to let go of your pants to your belt. So you got to learn how to break there's little nuances that make how a combination land different than how you teach it. So for me, I think I like to think that I've kind of like sifted through all the bullshit and now have what's like a base of good stuff, like of gold, in jiu-jitsu and in MMA and in kickboxing and wrestling and whatnot, and whatever style you want to think of. I've literally ran the gambit around the world with like the best trainers in the world. So I like to think that I have a good hold on some stuff. A little bit. At least a little bit.
I was going to say, brother, I wouldn't say a little. Don't sell yourself short. I would say.
I will sell myself short on purpose just to impress you.
Because when you're traveling the world and you're taking each increment and then you're building your own basket and then you're passing that basket on to all the people that are coming into your gym, let alone seminars alone.
Well, it's different. Like, so my gym, my guys, they're used to me because they see me every day.
Every day, sure.
So to me, I'm just me. To them, I'm just me.
Right.
But when I travel, I'm somebody else, which is weird, right? So I'll travel and I'll be at like a Dunkin' Donuts. Oh shit, are you Miguel Torres? I used to watch you when I was 9 years old. The guy's like 35. And I'm like, oh shit. Nice to meet you, bro. And we take a picture, whatnot. But I hear it's just like I'm just a regular me,
Right on.
So my word's still heavy and my students are still amazing. It's a different atmosphere.
Sure, right.
So guys will come out of town and be like, oh, can I get a picture and all? Can I, make a video for my dad or whatever? And people are like, well, that guy's weird. I'm like, no, bro, this guy's from fucking New Jersey. Like, he was, anyways.
Yeah, no, it's right.
It's different, it's just different.
Yeah, it's weird for them to see you in that light, probably.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Like it's just Miguel. It's
right. Right.
Yeah.
That's what.
And I kind of like that because it makes me like I am just everybody else. I'm not,
sure.
I ain't nothing crazy, bro. Yeah, it just makes it weird from like being what I was, what I did, and then to go to Hooters right now and be like people like start looking at you weird, and you're eating with your kids like, why is that guy asking you for a picture, Dad? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry.
When you're older, you understand.
Yeah.
When you're not 3 and 4, you will get it.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, one time we were eating at a restaurant. Remember that guy kept asking for a picture? Well, this is why. That's good stuff, man. That's and I mean, and that's good in the sense of it because people know who you are. People, they're like, hey, I watched you. I respect you. I want to, hey, can I get a picture? Can I get whatever? I just want him to come to East Coast now, Chad, to have another jiu-jitsu seminar because I'm like, hey, I want to learn. Bro. I love running. I love learning from like old school guys because I'm very old school person. That's just kind of my nature. That's who I am. Nostalgic.
We'll figure out. Yeah. After this kickboxing one, maybe, a couple months down the road, we'll have you back, sure. have you back for jiu-jitsu or something.
Like,
whatever you guys want, bro.
During kickboxing, say, hey, Miguel, you want to do some jiu-jitsu over here? You guys wait over there and we'll do some jiu-jitsu over here. Is that cool?
On the side, bro. I got you, man. I got you a half hour after we do whatever we do.
All right. There we go.
You pick my brain.
That's a lot to pick, brother.
It's all right, bro.
It's a plethora of knowledge and torch passing.
It's all just violence.
It is.
It's just all sheer violence, brutal, no bullshit, direct, just I'm going to smash you and crush you. That's it.
I mean, that's probably why I like this so much because of the violent aspect of it.
The new style is different. The new style is kind of bougie, bro. It's like, I got to flip a couple times and roll and slip. And
I've never heard it called bougie yet. And that's going to be my new, I'm stealing that, bro.
Makes sense.
That's my new term. Like if I see something.
The old days, bro. The old days were fucking rugged.
Like
it was rough.
Smash, pass.
Now, not to say that the jiu-jitsu has grown so much since the old days.
Sure.
Right? There's so much different jiu-jitsu now. That's why it has to be bougie. But I can still call it bougie, and I still be old school.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say,
That's all right. That's all right.
You've been there. So
I wish I could be bougie. I can't. I can't move that way no more.
Brother, with a mullet flowing like that, there's no bougie. That's just straight up. old school gangster, like just
old school. It's all it is. It's triple OG gangster. Bro.
That's right, OG baby. OG,
Teflon Don. It's my bulletproof. Protects my neck in case I get shot.
I love it. I love it. That's great. So, man, shout out anyone, anything you want. Your gym, the whole everything, brother.
First and foremost, I want to thank my family, my mother and my father, for giving me the life that they did, for being my role models in life and never giving up and believing in me and always helped me out. I want to thank my sister, my brother, because they've always been on my side no matter what I've needed in my life. They've always been there to help me as well. Mike Hill, one of my investor, my sponsor, the guy that's helped me out to have the academy that I have, a man that's believed in me and helped me realize my dreams. I want to thank all my fans and my supporters, my students, everybody that still comes to my academy and trains with me and gives me their time. I try to do my best for you all. I'm not perfect, but I'll die trying to do my best for you. Thank you all very much, and I hope you enjoy this interview.
Yeah, brother. Thank you, man. Thank you, Miguel, for everything you're doing, for everything you're giving to everybody. Bless you, man, and your family and everything. Appreciate the time, just chilling with us, hanging out, talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. That's usually what we do here, man. And can't wait to see you come in and, run the seminar. And if I'm lucky enough, I'll get some rolls in with you and learn some stuff.
Sure, can I say one more thing?
Oh, everything, brother. You say as much as you want.
I want to say one more message to anybody out there who doesn't have anything going on right now. People who are down, people who are depressed, people who don't feel good, people who feel ill, people who don't think they can do it. It's hard to say believe in yourself and move forward. But the only real thing I can tell you is to believe in yourself and move forward. If you don't believe in yourself, no one's going to believe in you. Make a goal for yourself. With that goal, write it down, make a plan, try to figure out how to get there. If you can't get there by yourself, look for a professional or somebody who's in that field that can help you get there. If you need help, you could hit me up at Miguel Torres MMA at gmail.com. I want to help you out the best that I can with whatever references that I have. Anybody out there that's going through a hard time, that's it for everybody. We got to do what we can and we got to get there. Just do your best and never give up. Thank you, guys. Thank you for letting me say that message, brother. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Social? Anyone get you on social?
On Twitter, Miguel Torres, MMA 219. And on Facebook, just Miguel Torres. Miguel Angel Torres on Facebook.
Yeah, right on. Cool. And everyone out there, it'll be on the show notes. Everything will be in the show notes as usual. That's what we do. That's how we do it here on the show. Always hanging out, and appreciate your time, Miguel. Everything that you're doing. It's a super inspiration to me because I've been struggling a lot lately, and just to hear you talk, it's awesome. It's everything I needed to hear. Great time hanging out with you, man. I appreciate you so much. I can't wait to meet you, hang out with you, and just doing it, brother. Just keep grinding and keep doing it. So
that's all we got, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right, my man. Well, thank you. Appreciate your time. Appreciate it. All right, man. We'll see you. All right.
All right, brother. Peace, boys.
Yes.
Thanks.
Later. Hey everyone, we hope you enjoyed the show today. Remember, go out there and check out all our sponsors. That's RollAmongUs.com, BattleBomb.com. At checkout, put in LimitLess20 to get a 20% discount on all products. We appreciate it very much. Not only will you be supporting them, but you'll be supporting the Limitless Radiocast podcast. It helps us come back each and every week, bring content to you guys and everything that you do. We love you guys. We're appreciative of you guys. We thank you for all the support. You guys take care. Come back next week.